What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. Here's just a compilation of some random videos I liked on the channel that I thought you guys would enjoy, and yeah, I'll shut up. And I guess Nerf, the company, owned by Hasbro, decided that they were going to switch it up. They needed a new way to get people into Nerf guns. And the best way to do that would be giving it a mascot, right? I don't really know what they were thinking, but even if they were gonna go with the mascot for Nerf guns, what they picked is probably one of the most horrifying looking things I've ever seen. Hasbro unveils first ever Nerf mascot, and fans aren't sure how to feel. Alright, so the mascot itself, like, whatever. If you want to add a mascot, I guess that's on you. I don't really like mascots personally. They kind of bug me. I know, unpopular opinion. I know a lot of people love them, but it's like, yes, I will definitely buy every Nerf gun now that there's a mascot for it. I know I'm not the target demographic either. But if you are gonna roll with a mascot, you know, you want to make sure that it's a cool mascot, and this is what this thing looks like. You tell me this doesn't look like some type of creature that's gonna crawl in through your doggy door and just steal all your Nerf guns while you sleep before making you disappear. Like, nothing about this makes me want to go get a Nerf gun. Is it also implying that, like, all Nerf bullets have to be harvested from living creatures? Because that's horrifying. Ah, yes, this 50-pack of Nerf dots is from the family of Nerf mascots we took out earlier. Nerf is a timeless brand known for its toy dart blasters, water blasters, and even Minecraft-themed crossbows. It's a multi-generational toy company that provided entertainment for players big and small. However, throughout its entire existence, Nerf hasn't ever had a mascot. Sure, the catchphrase "it's Nerf or nothing" is pretty cool, but the sheer array of products it has on offer sort of eclipses the need for a primary character representative. That is, until now. They just unleashed Nerf's first ever mascot, and he's not what you might expect. If they want to have a mascot, I don't really care. I'm gonna make fun of it because it's insanely weird looking, but like, okay, I guess they can. I just want to know why they decided now, after like 30 years of Nerf guns being insanely popular, that they needed a mascot. Like, how did that meeting go? Alright guys, Nerf is one of our best sellers. It's making us a ton of money, but you know, we can always sell more Nerf guns. So we're gonna be looking for anything anyone has that could help us get a new marketing angle, get people talking about Nerf again. And somebody was like, alright, well, what if we do more collaborations with video games and movies? That does well. Alright, that's an okay idea, not bad. What if we release a new line? I don't know, those do well. Okay, that's solid. What if we make a mascot entirely made out of Nerf bullets, and we have him running around with a gold chain that says Nerf on it? Billy, you're a genius. This is going to sell so many Nerf guns. People are going to be lining up around the block. It's going to be the 2020 Beanie Babies. You know, I haven't bought a Nerf gun in an insanely long time, probably like 10 years. That being said, looking at this mascot doesn't make me want to run on down to Target and buy them all. Oh man, I haven't played with them in forever, but they got a mascot now. Like, imagine being a sports fan and the only reason you get back into sports is because your team introduces a new mascot. That's the vibe. I mean, look at this thing. What is it? Like Nerf Bigfoot, dude? Is this just like a man in a Nerf ghillie suit? I thought ghillie suits, like, the entire point was to blend in, not be seen. No, you're just gonna be running around with a ghillie suit that is emblazoned with neon colors screaming, "Hey, look at me, guys." If it was a new company or something, it would still be an ugly mascot. I just don't think it's very cool, personally. My opinion doesn't really matter, but I think it's even more weird because they've just been successfully selling this crap for so long. Like, literally, my older cousins that are older than me played with Nerf guns. I played with Nerf guns. My brother played with Nerf guns. Our, like, nephews and cousins play with Nerf guns. I feel like it's just one of those things that they didn't really need a mascot to sell for, and you know they spent a ton of money developing this. That's just how companies work. They just love blowing money. They're like, hey, how can we spend $80 million coming up with a man in a Nerf ghillie suit? And they're like, man, do I have the plan for you. The mascot's name is Murph, and he has his very own catchphrase, "Unleash the play in you." It looks like Murph is an amorphous humanoid being completely made out of Nerf darts, and folks on Twitter aren't sure how to feel about him, even going as far as to call him terrifying. I don't think, like, I'm not afraid of him now. Like, if there's just some dude in a Nerf suit outside, I'd be like, oh, that guy's a little weird. But imagine being a little kid, you're in the middle of a Nerf war, and all of a sudden this, like, 7-foot tall being made out of Nerf darts just shows up and starts shooting you and your friends with, like, the most overpowered Nerf gun of all time. Now that is horrifying. Why Murph? Like, is the only reason because it rhymes with Nerf? Oh, it's Murph the Nerf. Like, come on, man. That's just corny. You should have named him something classy and cool, like Scrubby or Ryan. I feel like if I was ever walking around and my name was just Murph, like not even like Murphy, but just straight up Murph, I'd feel really sad and probably wear a ghillie suit made out of Nerf bullets too. I wouldn't want anyone to know my identity. Please don't look at me. I don't want to be known as a Murph. Unleash the play in you is a garbage slogan compared to the much better slogan they already have. Why not just have him say it's Nerf or nothing? I mean, come on, he's already a Nerf mascot. All they've got to do is have him say the catchphrase. Why'd you come up with the new catchphrase too? Like, if there's one thing that definitely wasn't broke, it's that. Everybody knows it's Nerf or nothing. Did they just hire like a bunch of new college graduates over at Hasbro? We need to modernize the brand. And now they're just changing everything and everyone's like, yeah, but it was just not broken. Look at the different lengths. Does it grow Nerf darts like hair? Are the Nerf darts we've always used shorn from creatures like wool? Is Murph the Nerf here, unshorn, to save his brethren from the Nerf herders? That's what I'm saying, bro. They're kind of implying that all Nerf bullets are harvested from a living creature, which would make Nerf way, way more uncomfy. Listen, I eat hamburgers. It's not like I'm against that, but I would feel a little bit differently about growing animals just to take darts from them so I can shoot a Nerf gun. That would probably feel a little bit bizarre. He's here for revenge. That is getting more terrifying. If this is the case, it's not that he's scary looking, but his backstory about him being here to avenge us for constantly skinning everyone in his tribe to steal Nerf bullets. That's an intense backstory, sounding a little bit more like a John Wick sequel than just the Nerf mascot. Murph, if you're listening, okay, I haven't gotten any Nerf darts in a while. I had no clue that it was the skin of your relatives. I apologize. Somebody out there, I don't care. Murph can screw off. I love Nerf. He just like appears behind them. He congeals out of all the darts they have in their room. He can just go like nanobot mode, right? And control different Nerf darts to build himself into a creature and attack you from anywhere. He can come through the sewers. Whatever the case may be, it looks like Murph is here to stay, whether we're off-put by him or not. After all, he can't help it. He's just covered in Nerf darts. Yeah, but he can't help it. If it is his hair, he could shave, you know, and think about the money he could make. If you're growing Nerf darts on you, you shave them off, you sell them. Oh, it's literally money growing on trees. Come on, Murph, make yourself rich. Forget the money Nerf and Hasbro is tossing you. You can make a way bigger bag for yourself. Seriously though, I know none of this actually matters. I'm not gonna lose sleep over the new Nerf mascot. I just thought he was kind of creepy looking. And on top of that, I just think it's funny that they felt the need to add a mascot now. Like 20 years of selling like hotcakes. Oh no, now we gotta switch it all up. I mean, I have the philosophy, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But hey, maybe I'm wrong for that one. I don't know. Maybe I need a new mascot for the Scrubby channel. I wonder if Tony the Tiger's busy these days. I don't know if Frosted Flakes is gonna get rid of him, maybe bring in a different mascot. If he shows up on the channel, you guys know what happened. We worked something out. Alright, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. But today I wanted to talk about something that is a pretty big deal. For those of you that don't know, our neighbors up north are currently facing a proposed bill that would effectively shut down all independent Canadian YouTube channels. Obviously, I'm not a fan of that. I think anybody should be allowed to make content on this website. So I just wanted to talk about it, spread a little bit of awareness about it. So without further ado, let's get into it. Trudeau's government is still trying to wreck Canadian YouTube, and this is written by JJ McCullough, who actually is a YouTuber. So from what I understand, all this would do is make YouTubers have to report their content to the Canadian Radio Telecommunications Center, which might sound simple, but then realize that's what like radio broadcasts have to do. Imagine if tomorrow, every time I wanted to post a video, I just had to be like, nah, I can't, gotta send it to the FTC first. It would most likely shut down a majority of Canadian YouTubers unless they were huge and could go through the headache of doing that. No more people just posting videos all willy-nilly, and if they do, they could probably get in trouble. And as for what they're looking for, they want all Canadian digital content to have a certain level of Canadianness, and I'm not making that up. I've been thinking of Olsen and 449 Canadian YouTubers more popular than him amid the news that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government intends to revive its stalled efforts to regulate YouTube in a more nationalistic direction. Trudeau's project, after all, is grounded in a series of conclusions about the supposedly struggling state of Canadian digital content creators that are so insultingly at odds with observable reality to invite suspicion of hidden, darker motives. Anytime a government comes in and starts saying we're going to start regulating who can say what on huge platforms, and on top of that it needs to have a certain level of Canadianness to the program, of course people are going to start thinking about ulterior, darker motives. Everybody should be able to say what they want. Within reason, you can't shout fire in a crowded movie theater. But in my opinion, freedom of speech is a pretty important right, and the idea that, the government could just control who's allowed to talk in the public square and who can't is pretty scary. And yes, I know that I'm not Canadian. It's not like I would be directly affected. But if you don't think that governments are going to be paying attention to this and see how it works out and possibly doing it themselves, you're kidding yourself. Every government would love the ability to tomorrow be like, oh, we can steer the entire direction of content based on arbitrary guidelines. So I do think that while I'm not Canadian, it's so important to talk about because, one, Canadian YouTubers deserve to make videos without having to report it to a radio commission. And two, chances are eventually it's going to continue to happen in more places. Because I don't know if you guys are aware, but Germany has something relatively similar. If your live stream is over a certain size, I'm not too specific, I'm not too knowledgeable. But from what I've been told from my friend who streams in Germany, there's regulations in place where once your stream's of a certain size, you need a broadcasting license. So if you don't think that stuff like this is going to be coming up more and more, you're kidding yourself. And I just think in general, these Canadian YouTubers don't need to be dealing with this crap. It's unfair. Bill C-11, the Online Streaming Act, the successor to the scrapped Bill C-10 that drew much scorn last spring, once again proposes placing YouTube and other platforms like it under the authority of the Canadian Radio, Television, and Telecommunications Commission, which will have the power to force YouTube, to categorize and distribute its content the way the Canadian television and radio stations already must. In practice, this means dictating the proportion of time that shall be devoted to broadcasting of Canadian programs, as well as prescribing what constitutes a Canadian program. This could conceivably obligate YouTube to bury foreign videos whenever a Canadian uses the search engine, as well as force Canadian creators to fill out some sort of checklist when they upload a video in order to affirm it fulfills government-dictated criteria of Canadianness and is worthy of discoverability in the new search algorithm. It could even force Canadian users to automatically subscribe to channels the government thinks are worthy, a la Canadian cable providers' current obligations to make Canadians subscribe to stations such as the CBC and Aboriginal People's Television's network, regardless of if they want to or not. Clause 10.1K of the proposed legislation, awards the CRTC ominous open-ended power to decree regulations respecting such other matters as it deems necessary for furtherance of its objects. Oh, that's not horrifying at all. I love when they add a little bit at the end of the bill. Oh, by the way, they can add whatever regulations they deem necessary in order to make their goal happen. Yep, absolute power is always fantastic in the hands of people that get it. Screw it, just give them the ability to duct tape people's mouths shut, too. This would basically just give the Canadian government total control over what people are able to see on YouTube. I mean, think about it. If you're a Canadian YouTuber who's being critical of the government, I'm not saying it would 100% happen, but in theory, they could just reject your video from being discoverable in the Canadian algorithm because of its Canadianness. What does that even mean? That's such an arbitrary thing to judge it by. Who are they to say that you can or cannot make a video that's certain amount of Canadianness inside of it? If you're Canadian and you're making a video, then by default, it's got enough Canadianness in it for me. You should just be allowed to make a YouTube video. I don't know why you would have to fill out regulation with the government and the radio telecommunications network. Imagine filling out that form. You're just like, oh, I'm talking over Valorant gameplay about whatever I'm talking about. Please let me upload it. And they're like, ooh, sorry, gameplay's not good enough. You didn't drop a 40 bomb. Plus, I don't like that it's going to drown all the foreign videos in the algorithm. I don't know how much of my audience is Canadian, but the idea that like all the Canadian YouTube watchers suddenly would only have Canadian content shown to them if it's approved by this random organization. It's kind of weird, dude. Like, if you are on YouTube, you should be able to watch YouTube videos. I don't like the idea of a government having a ton of control over everything I watch, everything I'm allowed to see. And before people are like, how do you know it'll be used that way? Well, I mean, come on. Like, look at the way it's written, guys. Come on. The second you start adding arbitrary guidelines to content like government dictated Canadianness, right, is when you start to just have them using it any way they want to use it. Because what does that mean? How do you judge Canadianness of a video? Imagine if they were like, oh, these videos aren't American enough. Like, what does that mean? If an American citizen wants to use their freedom of speech to make a video, it is an American video. And if a Canadian wants to say their opinion, it's a Canadian video. There's already rules in place on these platforms to take down misinformation and crazy conspiracy theories. I don't know why you need more power to be like, no, you're not allowed to post this video making fun of Justin Trudeau. Or whoever it may be. That's just the only Canadian politician I know. I don't know anyone else. This is all being done in the name of the patriotic greater good to protect Canada's cultural sovereignty and make our diverse Canadian voices, music, and stories heard across Canada and globally through a variety of services, says the government's news release, alongside the more ideologically precise objective of ensuring greater representation of Indigenous peoples, racialized communities, cultural and linguistic minorities, LGBTQ2+ communities, and persons with disabilities to guarantee our culture and content will better reflect the 21st century Canada. I myself am an LGBTQ2+ YouTuber who has never struggled to tell Canadian stories on the platform, as Tristan Hopper once noted of me in the National Post. The man got 250,000 views on a video about the Canadian Constitution. Evan Van Osfong and Lily Singh are among the most successful Canadians in YouTube history, and both are visible minorities. The radical Indigenous rights activist Pam Palmater has a channel. A Brazilian-Canadian girl has earned more than 8 million subscribers making videos where she speaks only Portuguese. The list goes on. The Canadian government itself regularly concedes this reality whenever it feels the need to assemble a crack team of diverse and interesting YouTubers as part of some overpriced influencer campaign pushing voting or vaccines or whatever. So from what I am understanding from the way JJ McCullough writ this, they're saying it's all under the idea of promoting these voices, even though these voices kind of are popular on Canadian YouTube by default already. So, and I don't think that it's a bad objective to get diverse voices and diverse stories out there. That's how you learn more about the world and understand things different than what's been exposed to you, is by talking to people who are different than you and have different experiences. But I feel like government regulation to come out and tell people when they're Canadian enough, when they're talking about stuff enough, when this is allowed, when that's not allowed, doesn't make sense if your objective is already happening. Like, if the biggest Canadian YouTubers are a part of these groups that you're trying to represent more, then I don't understand why you need to codify it and make it legislation, because it's just already happening. And I think if you look across YouTube, you would see that there's a lot of diverse voices. I feel like, if anything, as far as an entertainment network would go, I know YouTube's not television, but if you were to look at it that way, YouTube has to have some of the most diverse content creators ever. Like, there's literally a different content creator for every walk of life. No matter what you're into, no matter what you identify as, no matter what you want to identify with culturally, there is a YouTuber that represents it. I'm going to give a compliment to YouTube. I feel like that's always been something that YouTube has been good at, is allowing people, no matter what walk of life they're in, to make content and garner an audience and expose people to that line of thinking and that way of life. I just don't get how the government's going to make it better than it already is at that. For 17 years, YouTube has been a case study of what would happen if a user-driven broadcast platform was permitted to operate in Canada without the CRTC busybodying, and the result has been endless hours of quality Canadian content and thousands of Canadian superstars, some of whom are among the most watched personalities on the site, and perhaps even amongst some of the most famous Canadians in the world. This being the case, Bill C-17 has earned the vicious characterization of its fiercest opponents, an act of authoritarian-minded government seeking greater control over independent media for purely ideological purposes and a globally unprecedented reimagining of the state's right to control online content, justified only by an imperious assertion that politicians and bureaucrats should decide what their citizenry needs to see. If passed, it will serve only to empower other regimes that believe the unrestricted freedom to choose what we watch and hear is a monster to be slain. If I was a Canadian YouTuber, I would definitely be freaking out about this. And listen, chances are it's going to pass and they'll leave them alone. I'm not saying that tomorrow they're going to go out and ban every Canadian YouTuber and shut them down. But here's the issue. Once you give the government control over something, you don't really get it back a whole lot. Like, once you open the door and you let your government start controlling what type of online content can be published and when it's Canadian enough and all that stuff, it's not like one day they're going to wake up and go, oh, we don't want to do this anymore. You guys go back to posting the videos that you want how you wanted to do it. Like, once they're in charge of that, they're going to keep that power. The idea that the government needs to be in control of what I watch, when I watch it, determine if it's, American enough for me to watch is absolutely ridiculous. I understand I'm not Canadian. I know there's probably going to be some people, you're not Canadian, shut up about it. I'm saying y'all deserve the right to pick what you want to watch. And the idea that your government knows what's better for you than you do is a little bit ridiculous when it comes to consuming digital content. I don't think you need your government in there telling you like, oh yeah, no, you can't watch that super bad YouTube video. What are you, my mommy? Like, come on, man. I'm an adult. I can pick what YouTube videos I want to watch. I have seen a lot of people talking about this. Hopefully it continues to get spread about, because I think the only way that you're going to get something like this not to go through is if there is a big public outcry and backlash. As it said in the article, Bill C-10 was what was proposed before, something similar along the lines, and that didn't end up getting passed. So hopefully a little bit of awareness will get people to do something about it. As for what you can do, once again, I'm not Canadian, but what you do in the United States, call your elected representative, let them know you don't like this bill. It's probably the best way to go about it. There's ways to text into, but from everything I've heard, calling is more effective. Just because you don't want people being in control of YouTube, determining what can and can't be uploaded, when it can and can't be seen, choosing what videos you see, when you see them. I don't know, man. I guess if you're cool with that, like if you really want that, then it's your right to have that opinion. But I don't like the idea of being told what I can and can't watch on YouTube. Or what I can and can't upload, man. No, you are not allowed to make fun of morgues, okay? Everybody here at the FBI loves him, so we're gonna block your upload. Like, what are they gonna do, dude? Come on. JJ McCullough's gonna try to make another video about Canadian snacks or candy flavors. They're gonna not let him post it because it's bad for people's health or something. It's just ridiculous, dude.
There is shock and outrage tonight after a lifeguard saved a man who was drowning because instead of being hailed a hero, his bosses instead fired him. Here's Matt Gutman.
Well, what is the point of hiring a lifeguard if you're just gonna fire him for doing what you hired him to do? How did this job interview go? All right, if you saw someone drowning, would you A, save them, or B, watch them drown? He clicks A. Ooh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we don't want lifeguards that are interested in saving people here. I don't think you could even be considered a lifeguard then. You just start to become some dude sitting at the pool with a whistle. Imagine you save someone's life, you're doing the chest compressions. As you're saving them, your boss walks up. What are you doing? Saving someone? Consider this your last shift. You're fired, pal. Alright, what's poppin', guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. I found this insane news story about a lifeguard that saved somebody's life and ended up getting fired for it because apparently he was too far away from his guard post. Because we all know it's way more important to stay near your guard post than it is to save someone's life if you're a lifeguard. Either way, I thought it was an insane video y'all would enjoy a reaction to because it's just nuts. Hopefully the guy got another job and one that didn't suck as much, and let's go.
When duty called, Tommy Lopez sprinted.
I had a guest coming to me, someone drowning. I'm looking, like, I don't see anyone. He's like, they're way down over there. so I just started running.
You guys know that Tommy didn't come here to play, all right? When he signed up to be a lifeguard, he knew he was eventually gonna have to save somebody's life. I bet you most lifeguards, you're like, ah, crap, I know I passed the training. I hope I've never got to do anything. That being said, it does take somebody who at least wants to help to start sprinting down the beach to go help someone. What would the company have preferred his reaction to be? I don't know. If I was a lifeguard and someone ran up to me and said, hey, somebody is drowning, please come help them, I would feel like it's my job to go help them, even if that meant running down the beach a little bit. I don't know. I feel like it's more important to be running down the beach to help someone drowning than it is to stay near the guard tower. Why would they fire him for this? If anything, you think this would be good publicity for the company. Like, our lifeguards literally saved somebody's life. They're so on top of it. They sprinted a quarter mile to do it. I feel like firing somebody that just saved somebody's life while employed as a lifeguard for your company sends the totally wrong message. You're getting interviewed to, like, do private lifeguarding for a pool or something. Yeah, we actually hold our lifeguards to a very high standard. We have someone that ventured too far away from their tower to save somebody's life and prevent them from dying, and we fired him. Super high standards. They're like, wait, you fired someone because they saved somebody? And they're like, yeah, they saved him, but did you hear what I said? He was away from his guard tower.
Darting past hordes of beachgoers Monday to save a drowning man.
I was worried about the guy himself, not anything else, because he was blue when they got him.
So not only did he run off to save somebody, which regardless of what the situation was like, he still would have been a hero in my opinion, but the guy is literally turning blue. He's been drowning so long. So either way, he shouldn't have been fired, but the fact that he literally saved a man's life should be another reason why he's not fired. It's not like it was just some tourist with a cramp that he pulled in that would have been okay. The guy's turning blue, lost all oxygen flow, and he saved his life. This isn't even a situation of like, man, I didn't wait 20 minutes before I went swimming and the lifeguard saved me. This is legitimately a life-saving situation that this guy got fired for. I also love how the news felt the need to point out that he sprinted past tons of people on the beach. I don't know if the news has ever been to the beach before, but yes, it tends to be that beaches have a lot of people on them. I know, nothing gets past ABC News over there. They just had to add that in. They're talking about this, like, guy saving someone's life. Did you guys know that there were people on the beach? It was crazy. I've never seen anything like it. People on the beach. I still don't know why the company would fire him. Like, that's just shooting yourself in the foot PR-wise. Yeah, let's fire the guy who literally saved somebody's life as they were turning blue in the ocean.
Instead of being rewarded, he was fired. You see, the 21-year-old knowingly violated a rule that prevents guards from this privately run lifeguard company from leaving their station to help a swimmer in distress.
Well, that's an insanely stupid rule. I feel like I could understand if the company had this rule, all right? You stay on the beach, you're paid to patrol unless there's an emergency situation. But to say that they literally should not go save someone's life because technically it's past the point that you're paid to patrol is ridiculous. If they're 100 yards away from someone turning blue and drowning, you want them to just stand there and watch it happen because technically it's past the point? That's absolutely insane. I don't think any human being would be okay with doing that. I mean, unless they're like a psychopath or something, just stand 100 yards away from a problem you know how to prevent and watch somebody die? Like, who would actually be able to do that? You have to be one stone cold person to just be able to stand there and watch something like that happen and not intervene if you have the skills to intervene. Listen, all right, I understand you're a lifeguard, but you're only a lifeguard for the people that are paying you to be a lifeguard. You're not supposed to be going out there and helping people if they haven't paid you. It's like, yeah, but I know how to save his life. Okay, cool, but you weren't paid to save his life, and we're about profit. The company can make money and help in emergency situations. I don't think it's mutually exclusive. It's not like the company's gonna lose money because of this. If anything, you would think this would be great PR for the company. Our lifeguards literally saved somebody's life. Nah, just fire him instead.
I just went over and did what I had to do.
Because someone's life was at stake.
Tommy's guard station is about 100 yards that way down the beach. Now, beyond this sign, he's not allowed to go, but
they just put like a Doctor Strange spell on it. He starts trying to run past the fence. It's just blocking him. Dang it, I can't get past this sign. Everyone knows that as soon as you walk past the sign on this beach, all of your skills that you have for lifeguarding go out the window. You just forget how to do everything that you've learned because you're no longer on company grounds, so therefore your skills don't exist. That's how all jobs work. I don't care if you've been working construction for 30 years. The second you step off the construction site, you forget literally everything and you're basically an idiot. Everyone knows that's how it works. Lifeguard, construction, taxi drivers. Taxi drivers actually don't know how to drive when they're not at work. Yeah, they have to ride bikes everywhere.
the person who was drowning was over there. A spokesperson for lifeguard contractor Jeff Ellis Management said, "We have liability issues and can't go out of the protected area."
I mean, I guess I understand where they're coming from, where it's a liability issue, but also, if the person whose life you saved turns around and sues you, they're just an absolute garbage human being, and even then, even though the company would have liability, you have to know there's a human side of your workers and they can't just watch someone drown from 100 yards away. Like, they have to do something, I'm sorry, liability or not. I'm not gonna live with myself knowing that I just let somebody pass away when I could have done something because, well, the company liability. I think firing him was a big mistake too, because at the bare minimum, you could have just like retrained him. You didn't have to go and fire him, and even then, it should have been like the type of retraining where the boss goes, "Oh yeah, don't do that," and they go, "Okay," and there shouldn't have been any punishment. If anything, they should have like bought him lunch. They should have made him the poster child of the company. It's stupid they even got mad. Liability or not, like any punishment would have been dumb, but firing him is just taking it to the furthest extreme you possibly could when all he did was save somebody's life.
Suddenly, the rule that got Tommy fired launched a mutiny.
So let me get this straight. All of you basically resigned or were fired because of Tommy, because of this decision.
I don't think any of the other lifeguards that worked at this place would have been happy. Oh, if we saved somebody's life but we're 2 feet to the right of the sign, you're just gonna fire us? Yeah, no thanks. I don't want to work for your company anymore. Considering they live on the beach, I'm sure there's plenty of places that are hiring lifeguards. It's probably not very difficult to get a job doing it. And why would you choose to work for a company that's got so little loyalty to its employees? Oh, we're literally gonna fire you if you save somebody's life, but keep working for us, huh? No, thanks. I'm sorry. I gotta be out with that one. And if they were fired for saying it was wrong to fire Tommy, that's more ridiculous. If they quit, I get it. But if they actually got fired for being like, hey, you shouldn't have fired Tommy, come on, man. Like, obviously they were gonna have their friends back for saving somebody's life. Duh. What did you expect them to do? Oh, Tommy, you idiot. What are you doing? Oh, you should have let him drown.
Tommy's fellow lifeguards leaving en masse, 7 of them, in disgust.
What we're basically supposed to do is just watch them die, technically.
Yeah, duh, for corporate policy. Everyone knows that you just gotta support the policy. Don't go help save anyone's life if your boss would be big angry face. Oh, dude, you're telling me I won't get employee of the month because I saved that person from drowning? Yeah, you could have made us liable, bro. Come on. What if the person whose life you saved decides to sue you? Well, then that person's a jerk. I'm hard-pressed to see any jury siding with that person. All right, the court case we have today is the person suing the lifeguard company for preventing them from drowning. The jury, we find the defendant not guilty because they saved your life, dude. We're not gonna let you sue them for it. I know America is very litigious, and maybe it's a little bit too optimistic of me to assume that people wouldn't be willing to save the person that just saved their life. Or sue that person, sorry, you know what I'm saying.
Just then, we came across Brian Ritchie, who walked off this guard tower to turn in his whistle and the shirt off his back.
Let's go. I love the fact that the guards are doing a mutiny. This is what happens when you fire people for a bad reason. He saw the news cameras show up. I'm quitting on camera. Let's add some spice to the story. Make it go more viral. Firing him dramatically backfired because now you just have no lifeguards. It was a liability. You know what else is a liability? Not having anyone that works for you, because now you really can't keep the pool safe and the customers are gonna be pissed.
Brian, did you just quit?
I did just quit.
How'd it go?
It was rough. I'm glad that I can
separate myself from this. I knew if the incident ever came up, I would go.
I think anyone would in this situation. As I said, it's just unhuman to like watch a disaster happen knowing you have the skills to prevent it from happening and just watch it because your boss told you to. Anyone in that situation would have done what Tommy did and go save somebody's life. At least I hope so. And listen, if you don't know how to swim, don't try to save someone from drowning. But yeah, all these lifeguards are going to side with him and quit, because literally anyone who's trained to do what they know how to do is going to go save somebody's life if given the opportunity. They're not just going to be like, nah, I don't feel like it. I might get a cramp. And obviously they're going to support their friend and quit at the company that's basically telling them to just sit there and do nothing about it.
They'd made a pact, choosing to save lives instead of their jobs.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to be just fine, especially after this news story airs. I'm sure there's going to be some lifeguard company out there that's like, I want a group like that to work for me. Because you would think that the entire point of owning a lifeguard company is getting great workers that are, good at their job. I just don't understand why the company would go through all this trouble to fire somebody for saving somebody's life. And it's especially backfired now that the news is talking about it. Anytime they go try to get a new client now, the client's just going to Google them and be like, hey, is it true that you fired a guy for saving somebody's life? Yeah, but you don't understand. It's a huge legal liability. You know that we're hiring you to guard our pool and save our lives, right? Yeah, well, that's different. There's no liability because you're paying us. Okay, but I don't want you to fire a guard after he saves my life or anything, As far as getting good PR goes, I would say firing somebody after they make your company look good is not the best decision. Like, imagine Wells Fargo fired some bank teller after they stopped a robbery without anyone getting injured. You were too dangerous, so we're firing you anyways. It's like, they stopped a robbery and nobody got hurt. What do you mean you're gonna fire them? For what? And I think it's awesome that his friends backed him up. I think, if anything, it's rare to see a workplace that has that type of follow through. I understand why they did, because, you're just gonna be next if you decide to save somebody. But at every job I've been at, all the coworkers do not have this type of loyalty to each other at all.
Matt Gutman, ABC News, Hallandale Beach, Florida.
Why is it always Florida, bro? I don't know what is going on. Maybe I made a video a couple days ago called like, why are the fish high? And it was about all the pharmaceuticals in Florida waters. Maybe that has something to do with Florida being so crazy. I don't seek out stories, all right? On this channel, I do a bunch of videos about like crazy news stories. And for whatever reason, Florida just way overrepresents. I'm telling you, at least 3 times a week, the craziest thing going on for a day happens to be from Florida. So to everyone in Florida, kudos to you. You're living life in a GTA server. But Tommy should not have been fired. Absolute stupidity. Hope he's doing all right now. Just thought you guys would think that entire situation. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And today we're going to be talking about something that definitely caused some people to not have a great day. It appears that a cargo ship carrying Porsches, Bentleys, and Lamborghinis has sank. And, everyone on the crew is okay. Nobody was injured. But that being said, I just figured we should talk about it, because there's something a little bit insane about 1,000 Porsches on the bottom of the ocean, dude. King Triton himself is going to be whipping in a Bentley now. Alright, so like I said, before we get into it, I want to make it clear, no one on the crew was injured in any of this. That being said, 1,000 Porsches, 200 Bentleys, and some Lamborghinis have ended up on the ocean floor. I hear the killer whales themselves are now driving around everywhere in a Porsche. That being said, dude, I just thought this was a crazy story, because it's not every day you hear about something like this. After burning for days, a ship carrying thousands of luxury cars sinks. The ship, the Felicity Ace, was carrying about 4,000 vehicles, including Bentleys and Porsches, when it caught fire on February 16th, and on Tuesday morning it sank. Hey, I do have to give credit to the boat. That's an impressive time to be hanging on, right? Like, if it lit on fire on the 16th, that means this thing was just kind of floating out in the ocean for 2 weeks on fire, Obviously, in an ideal world, it would have never lit on fire, but my goodness. this. I didn't realize that boats could just be on fire that long while still floating. I guess if you're surrounded by fire, or water, sorry, I guess it's harder for the fire to spread. I don't know anything about boat fires, okay? Don't consider me some type of expert. I just feel like, you know, there's a lot of problems with the boat fire. Pretty isolated, not much you can do about it. On top of it, if it was Porsches and like they're electric, if those caught on fire, I'm pretty sure the batteries in those burning is very not good, you know? Once again, I'm not a scientist, but I think lithium ion being on fire probably does not do a whole lot of good for the structure of a ship and keeping it seaworthy. 2 weeks after catching fire, a mammoth ship that was transporting thousands of luxury cars sank on Tuesday morning about 253 miles off the Azores, according to the company that managed the vessel. The ship, the Felicity Ace, went down at about 9 a.m. local time after tilting starboard and plunging 4,000 cars, including more than 1,000 Porsches and 200 Bentleys, into the sea, according to the company MLL Ship Management. I don't know how they transport cars, but if 4,000 cars have like oil and stuff in them, that's gotta be some type of very bad environmental situation going on if those things all got dumped overboard, you know? I don't know if they transport cars empty without the fluids in them, but I've gotta feel like that can't be too good for all the sea life vibing on top of 4,000 cars just crashing down, you know? Somewhere on the bottom, a crab just made a beautiful sandcastle only for like a Volkswagen to come plummeting down and crush it right after we built it. Obviously, crabs don't build sandcastles, guys. They're more of a chateau type of vibe. Seriously, if they are traveling empty though, is this just gonna become the world's like most expensive artificial reef, you know? Usually they'll just take boats that are about to be decommissioned out there and sink them so that way sea life can live in them. But now, for the first time ever, ladies and gentlemen, they're just gonna drop a couple $1 million worth of cars down there so that way we can call it Bougie Reef. Seriously, I hope there's no insane environmental disaster from this, and I'm glad the crew's okay. To me, it's just nuts that, like, you know, humans are just such a weird thing as a species that yesterday there were no cars in this part of the ocean, and now, just because of the way we transport stuff, fish have 4,000 new cars to pick from. Do you think fish are gonna start making used car commercials, you know? Come on down to Tuna Sam's car lot. We have Volkswagens, we've got Porsche, we've got Bentley, we've got it all. Environmental groups have been deeply concerned that the ship would sink and about the pollution it would cause in the unique ecosystem of the Azores, the Portuguese archipelago in the North Atlantic, where the seabed is covered with coral reefs, coral forests, and sponges. The area is home to sperm whales, blue whales, humpback whales, dolphins, sharks, among other species, according to Oceana, an environmental group. Dang it, dude, I was really hoping that, like, I mean, obviously, there's life everywhere in the ocean, but I was really gonna hope that this wasn't in an insanely sensitive place. Of course they managed to drop 4,000 cars on a coral reef. I know it's not the crew's fault, by the way. There's not much you can do about a ship fire. It's just, like, out of anywhere this could possibly happen after being towed for 2 weeks, it lists and drops 4,000 cars that are gonna cause environmental problems on top of, like, a sensitive coral reef. That's home to all these whales, too, by the way. I was making jokes about killer whales trying to, you know, drive the cars earlier, but apparently that might be going down on the bottom of the ocean. The Little Mermaid's gonna have a new verse about her song about a Bentley, you know? How she's like, I got forks and stuff. Now she's like, I got a Porsche too. Seriously, I hope that they're able to reduce like the environmental impacts as much as possible. I know coral reefs are especially sensitive to stuff like this. Extremely unfortunate that this happened right above sensitive coral reefs. I can just imagine the damage alone that like 4,000 cars falling on a coral reef would do. I'm assuming that alone is insane. If you start talking about everything leaking out of the cars and everything else, you know, batteries down there, battery acid, that's a really not good situation. I know I'm pointing out the obvious. A massive vessel like the Felicity Ace can hold more than 3 million liters of heavy fuel as well as oil, according to Oceana, and other pollutants in the boat include electrical wires, paint, and plastic. The fire broke out in the ship's cargo hold 6 days after it departed from Emden, Germany for the port of Davisville in Rhode Island. MOL Ship Management has not said how or why the fire started. Nearby, commercial ships and a helicopter rescued the ship's 22 crew members, and no one was injured during the evacuation. For some reason, I assumed that the ship was still kind of being towed out of the area, but if on top of 4,000 cars being dropped on this reef, the entire tanker goes down as well and leaks all that oil, then my goodness, dude, this is going to be on par with one of those Valdez-level spillages. Probably not the exact same, because that's an oil oil tanker, quite a lot more oil on board those. But if you consider just the sheer amount of pollutants that might be getting dropped on this reef right now, not too bueno. 2022 is not off to a good start, bro. You throw this in the mix with like what's going on in Ukraine right now, and it's an even bigger crapshoot than 2021 was. This decade is not off to an incredible start, man. The 2020s were supposed to be lit, the roaring 20s. Instead, we're roaring, but it's more of like, what is happening? Please make it stop, than it is like, this is sick. Honestly, I hope this is able to be contained and taken care of. You know, I'm not trying to make light of a bad situation. I'm extremely glad that everybody was rescued too. You know, I'm assuming that there's a lot of protocols for what to do if something catches on fire on a cargo vessel. I think that, like, you know, the odds of something bursting into flames when you're carrying a bunch of stuff is probably pretty high. So I'm assuming the crew is like very well practiced on what to do in these scenarios just in case of a situation like this, especially if no one was injured in the evacuation and everybody made it off. You know, that's pretty impressive. If you've ever seen a cargo ship, those things are gigantic. The fact that they can evacuate the entire thing while it's on fire with nothing going wrong is impressive. The Portuguese Navy said on Friday that a team of experts had arrived by helicopter the day before, and MOL ship management said that a large salvage tugboat had started towing the Felicity Ace towards a safe area of the Azores. The ship, apparently stable, has no fires on the outside or inside, although there is a high temperature in the central area with no smoke in the structure. But Tuesday morning, as the ship was being towed, it lost stability and sank, according to the Portuguese Navy. I guess that might be one very, very slim silver lining of this. Obviously, the best case scenario would have been it never happening, but the fact that they were able to tug it for 2 weeks, you know, out of a super sensitive area to a quote-unquote safe area. Obviously, I'm sure there's not too many places in the ocean you can drop a giant cargo ship in 4,000 cars and not bad things happen, but I'm hoping that at least in the process of 2 weeks having the salvage boat move it, it was able to get out of, like, you know, the immensely sensitive areas. The one thing that I'm not too sure of, just because I'm not a sailor out here, is how fast can a salvage tugboat tug a cargo ship? You know, I'm not saying that it's impossible. Obviously, they're able to do it, but that seems to me like a little engine that could moment. Just this little thing just pushing this ginormous cargo ship on fire. That would have made a pretty cool personified animated tugboat, okay? Disney, if you're out there and you need the next Pixar Cars spin-off, just call it Boats. A small patch of oily residue was visible and being dispersed by water jets of the tugboats, the Navy said. The area was being monitored by Portuguese and European environmental officials, the Navy said in a statement. Angus Fitton, a spokesman for Porsche Cars North America, expressed relief that the members of the Felicity Ace's crew were safe and well, and the company was supporting our customers best we can. We are already working to replace every single car affected, and the first cars will be built soon. Mr. Fitton did not say when that would be. Alright, I know this scenario I'm about to say is a total first world problem and really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but you know how cars have been delayed immensely? Like, imagine you paid, you know, 130 grand for a Porsche 2 years ago and it still wasn't here. You finally get a notification from the factory it's being shipped. It's on a cargo ship on a way across the ocean. You're like, yes, finally, let's go. I'm gonna, you know, get my Porsche. This is gonna be awesome. Only to find out that between COVID, ship shortages, everything else, it finally gets built, gets on the cargo ship, and then sinks and falls off into the ocean. At that point, that's got to be the universe's way of basically telling you that you shouldn't get this car and are never getting it, right? Like, I feel like if this many roadblocks get between you and having a specific car, maybe it's for the better. You don't want to be in a situation where you're in a James Dean cursed Porsche, all right? And obviously, you know, if you're dropping 130K on a car, chances are life's been pretty all right. That being said, it would just be like a huge bummer to think that your supercar's on the way, only to find out that it is now at the bottom of the ocean instead. One of the Porsches aboard belonged to Matt Farah, a car enthusiast and the editor of The Smoking Tire. He had been waiting on the car, a 2022 metallic Boxster Spider with a retail price of $123,000 since August. Mr. Farah summarized the loss on his podcast, Car, Boat, Fire, Adrift, that's the entire story. Maritime specialists said that even if the vessel had been saved, the cars aboard would most likely have had to been scrapped. Once it's been on board a ship that's on fire, no one can tell you much about the integrity of the car, said Richard Burke, a professor and chairman of naval architecture and marine engineering at the State University of New York Maritime College. So if you can't do that, why would you agree to warranty a contract on that car? Yeah, so basically the situation, you know, you order it, you hear it's on the way, and it's gone. Obviously, it just sucks that it's a waste either way. Like, even if they would have saved the boat, all these cars would have been wasted regardless. It's just nuts that 4,000 cars worth of material is just wasted. Obviously, nothing you can do about it. I understand. I wouldn't necessarily be stoked about driving a car that had been on a boat that caught caught fire and they like couldn't guarantee me that everything was gonna work safely, but you know, you can try, I'd be like, yeah, you know what, I'm good. And I can also understand why Porsche isn't willing to put the stamp on the warranty if they can't guarantee its safety either. Regardless, this entire situation just extremely crappy, but you know, I just thought it was nuts that 4,000 cars ended up on the bottom of the ocean. If anyone's got a scuba tank and wants a Porsche, you know where to go if you're in Portugal. Alright, so you know, I'm just reporting the news here, don't get angry at me. That being said, I could not believe my eyes when I saw Susan herself confirming that NFTs might be coming to YouTube. YouTube CEO Wojcicki, whatever, says the video site has plans to capitalize on Web3. I don't know, obviously Web 3.0 has been absolutely everywhere this year. Bitcoin, Ethereum, you name it, people are talking about it absolutely everywhere. But to know that YouTube themselves is working on a plan to include it somehow in this website is interesting. I wonder if it's going to be an opt-in system, if it's just kind of going to become like a default that they're going to use your content for NFTs or Web 3.0. Like, could you imagine every time a YouTuber uploads a video, that thumbnail becomes an NFT and then everybody in the comment section can like buy the NFT of the thumbnail? I don't understand why you would want to own a YouTube thumbnail. That being said, a lot of people spend money on weird digital items, so it happens from time to time. I don't know, cryptocurrency is just something I've known about for a while and like has always been pretty in the background, I guess, you know? So to see Google and YouTube being like, no, we plan on adding Web 3.0 support to basically the biggest video sharing website on the planet, it's definitely signifying that cryptocurrency in general has come quite far from what it used to be. YouTube published CEO Susan Wojcicki's annual letter on Tuesday, laying out the company's priorities. Wojcicki touched on YouTube's plans to focus on NFTs as new web technologies capture the attention of creators. The company said its short video platform, which competes with TikTok, has 5 trillion all-time views. Obviously a lot going on there. You know, I do think Shorts out of all the TikTok competitors is probably the best one. Obviously, it's the one I use the most because I'm a YouTuber. I don't know if that makes me biased. I don't know if it really is like competing with TikTok over the long term. The one thing I think it really has on its side is the fact that, you know, being able to watch long or TikTok-esque videos in one app is kind of convenient. It is nuts to me, though, that they're gonna focus on NFTs because it's capturing the attention of creators, only because we've seen in the last year that a lot of this website's biggest creators are using cryptocurrency and not in the best way. You know, I'm not gonna say any specific YouTuber names, just some projects, but Save the Kids token is the one that comes to mind the most. Obviously, that's different than an NFT, but, you know, one thing I think YouTube's got to be careful of, just because creators are hyped to be able to turn everything into an NFT doesn't necessarily mean it's the best thing. A lot of the biggest YouTube creators on the platform, you know, a lot of them are great and would never take advantage of turning stuff into NFTs and milking their audience for cash. That being said, we all know for a fact that if they go too overboard with this NFT thing, certain YouTubers are going to make it so you've got to buy an NFT to be able to watch their new videos or something. Certain people are just going to take it way too far, you know. That's the only thing that makes me a little bit nervous. If they really do give the ability for people to go overboard, it's just a matter of time until some YouTuber, you know, is like, all right, guys, if you really support me and want to become of my subscriber army super swag sub squad, turn on notifications and buy my NFT. Next thing you know, he's like got more money than the king of Saudi Arabia because he's been selling every thumbnail for $5 million. I don't think a majority of creators would abuse this at all. I really don't think so. But all it takes is one guy to, you know, pull off a rug pull on his audience for it to leave a bad taste in everybody's mouth. YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki said that the video site will expand on ways it can help creators capitalize on new technologies like NFTs. In her annual letter laying out the Google-owned company's priorities, Wojcicki said it wasn't specific about YouTube's plans, but made it clear the site will be playing in areas that have been heavily hyped as of late. The past year in the world of crypto, non-fungible tokens, and even decentralized autonomous organizations highlighted a previously unimaginable opportunity to grow the connection between creators and their fans. We're always focused on expanding the YouTube ecosystem to help creators capitalize on emerging technologies, including things like NFTs, while continuing to strengthen and enhance the experiences creators and fans have on YouTube. Alright, I do have to give Susan a huge amount of credit though. You know, usually whenever there's an open letter or something like this, it kind of comes across that they're not in touch with what people are talking about or asking for. I do genuinely have no doubt that a lot of creators on the size that, you know, they have access to Susan. I've never been able to interact with her ever. But the people with like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 million subscribers that probably get reached out to specifically, they probably are asking for NFT projects. So, you know, while I'm kind of personally torn about the idea of NFTs coming to YouTube, I do have to give the company credit for actually listening a little bit more to what creators are probably asking for. You know, if I got a chance to talk to the CEO of YouTube, I would have a couple questions about the website that don't involve NFTs, but that being said, it wouldn't surprise me if someone who has the ability to make, like, you know, let's be realistic here, somebody with 30 million subscribers selling an NFT of every thumbnail could probably bring in a couple $1 million a year off that. I could understand why that's something they're really asking for. I understand what she's saying too, by it kind of allows a deeper connection between creator and fan, because, you know, if you're running a channel that's entire goal is like cleaning the ocean and suddenly people can kind of invest in that, I get how it could build a connection. The only issue with that is, you know, a YouTuber comes along and hypes something up and is like, this is going to be the awesome next life-changing product. Value goes up. They don't really deliver. At the end of the day, a lot of the value of these projects is attributed to the creator. You know, I don't really know how the NFTs are going to work on YouTube, but if the creator has a situation where, like, they aren't able to fulfill their end of the project, or they stop posting or whatever, I'm sure that wouldn't necessarily be great for the value of the NFT you just bought. Maybe it makes it go up. I don't know, because they're not going to make any more thumbnails. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, it just kind of comes into this complicated thing. I would feel really guilty knowing that people are invested in my YouTube channel personally. Because, like, I don't know, the entire appeal to YouTube to me, I love to make videos. Tomorrow, if I never wanted to do it again, I could quit YouTube. And, like, sure, people would miss my videos, but that's the extent of it. If people have their entire retirement riding on my channel growing or whatever, then I really don't feel like I have the freedom that I really enjoy from YouTube. Maybe I'm just thinking about it too much, but I don't know. I feel like that's a line that I'm not really sure if I would want to cross, where people are now like investors in my creative work. Just because at that point, you know, how creative can I really be if, like, I feel responsible for all these people that are invested in the NFTs that I've put on YouTube? And I know theoretically, like, oh, that's not your problem, but, you know, I don't know. If people are buying my thumbnails, it feels like my responsibility a little bit, even if YouTube's the one doing it all. In the third quarter, YouTube ads revenue rose 43% to $7.21 billion from $5 billion a year ago, matching Google's overall revenue growth, and the company reports fourth quarter earnings next week. I'm not surprised that you're seeing a bunch of advertising revenue on YouTube and Google go bonkers, because, you know, I think the trend was going towards internet marketing and internet ads anyways, right? Let's be honest, it makes way more sense for a company to pay money to Google to get ads on somebody that's at least Googling something somewhat similar to the product, right? Than just pay more money to, like, have a commercial on television that A, nobody's watching, and B, you can't guarantee the person even likes the product. Like, do you know how much money Bud Light probably wastes on a TV commercial, like, if it plays for somebody that doesn't drink or doesn't enjoy that? Whereas, you know, on the internet, you can be like, I only want the ad to play if someone Googled beer or Bud Light, like something like that. And on top of that, I think that's just where the future was going. I'm sure COVID accelerated that massively. Suddenly, like, billboards, radio ads, you know, any physical ads definitely went down in usefulness a crap ton, because the entire world has been, like, half shut down for the past 2 years, basically. and everybody's been spending way more time online. So to me, it's just kind of a no-brainer that ad spends online have gone up, just because that seems to be where the attention is at, and you can get way more specific about what type of advertising and who your consumer is. I don't know, this doesn't necessarily surprise me. Whether or not it's sustainable is another question. The only other really cool thing in this article is talking about how they plan to get more into podcasting too. As podcast usage continues to grow, we expect it to be an integral part of the creator economy. Google has been ramping up its efforts to compete with TikTok in the short viral video format. And Wojcicki said that YouTube's rival product called Shorts hit 5 trillion all-time views since it was introduced in 2020. The last time Google provided an update on usage was July 2021, when the CEO said Shorts were garnering 15 billion daily views. They said they're now in the early phase of testing how shopping can be integrated with Shorts, and she also wrote that YouTube is planning on hiring more people so it can provide creators with specific details when it comes to policy violations. And her letter closed by touching on regulation, an area of heightened importance for Google, which faces numerous investigations in the US and abroad for monopoly control and fostering spread of misinformation. We comply with regulations in countries across the globe, but we also have concerns about new regulation that could have unintended consequences that could impact the creator economy, particularly around the regulation of legal speech. I think getting into podcasts makes a lot of sense. Obviously, we've already touched on Shorts a bit just because, it is the competitor to TikTok. It makes sense why they added it. It makes sense that it's getting 15 billion views a day. I'm not sure what TikTok's getting. I'm not sure if it's a crap ton more or not. The only thing you have to consider with YouTube is even if it's not the size of TikTok, if it's 30% the size of TikTok on top of having YouTube size with it, it's basically doing a good enough job at what it is. It is really hard to come into any market and do better than the person in it. So, good on them for at least having a better chance at competing with TikTok. As for shopping, dude, Instagram's trying to do this right now too. We're gonna become a shopping platform. Bro, call me nuts. I really hope people aren't dumb enough to be buying products from YouTube Shorts or TikTok or just any short form video in general. Maybe I'm stupid, dude, but I feel like if you're buying stuff so impulsively that a 6-second video makes you be like, damn, I need to spend my money on that now, you probably need to do a little bit more work on not being separated from your money so easily, In my mind, social media and shopping just don't go together. Obviously, there's got to be a reason they're developing all this, so, for some people, that's just got to make sense to them. I can't wait to be able to shop while browsing Instagram. Those aren't two activities that I personally feel I need to combine, but if YouTube's going to make more money off of it, I understand why they would do it. And, I know a lot of people are freaking out about regulation on internet companies. This is the way you got to look at it. There really has not been a whole lot of regulation on internet companies in the grand scheme of things. When you compare the regulation on these companies when it comes to what algorithms they can use, what data they can collect, what can they sell, where can they put ads, there's a little bit of it, right? But if you compare it to the regulation in any other old industry, that's been around the block an absolute crap ton, there isn't any. It's not a whole lot of regulation by comparison. So obviously it's just the nature of the beast that I think as technology gets a little bit older, the internet gets older, more people that understand technology get into government, that regulation is going to come. I don't think that's a bad thing. I even think with integration, YouTube's still going to be popular. I'm obviously a little bit biased because I'm a YouTuber, but I don't think it necessarily spells doom and gloom. I do understand why it's a concern for the CEO of YouTube though, and if she wasn't concerned about it, then that wouldn't be too great. Obviously it's a huge legal challenge that might be approaching YouTube, but overall I would not be surprised if you see some form of regulation on them, just because there really isn't right now. Anyways guys, that'll really do it. I just figured I would talk to you about this. Obviously if you're watching this, you at least like YouTube a little bit, so let me know in the comments section down below. Would you be buying YouTuber NFTs? Would you not? How do you feel about YouTube shopping? All that good stuff. Alright, so before we talk about the $93 million NFT, we gotta go over some basic information about the NFT space. NFT is short for non-fungible token, and basically, Bitcoin and most cryptos that start in that little realm are fungible. You can take a Bitcoin and trade it for another Bitcoin the same way that you can take $100 and change it for 5 $20 bills. That's fungibility. Now, non-fungible would be compared to something that is one of a kind. You know, a rare trading card, a piece of something from history, something that you wouldn't be able to trade for the exact same version of something else, right? You can't trade a one-of-a-kind baseball card for the exact same one-of-a-kind baseball card because there's only one of those items. So basically, an NFT is a JPEG that is one of a kind. You can never, you know, trade it for 5 smaller versions of the same picture. It's similar to a trading card. And obviously, whenever somebody hears the words unique and one of a kind, they start to associate it with something being rare, and being rare tends to ascribe value in the modern world. The first NFT, the way that we know it, actually came about in May of 2014. There was this guy, Kevin McCoy, who ended up creating this piece of artwork called Quantum. It's on your screen now, you know, it looks pretty cool, it's pretty nice. It was moving around looking all fly. And this is the first, you know, real NFT that I think a lot of people have been able to track down. As I said, it was made in May 3rd, 2014. But as of November 28th, 2021, it ended up being sold for $1.4 million at the Sotheby's auction. And while obviously it's cool that this was created in 2014, there's obviously a pretty big space in time between the first NFT being created and it becoming the absolutely massive, you know, multi-billion-dollar market it is now. So from 2014 to now, NFTs have obviously been developing and changing, and one of the major changes that ended up coming about for NFTs took place in late 2015, early 2016. That was when the Ethereum blockchain ended up getting a NFT put on it for the first time. 2 individuals by the name of John Watkinson and Matt Hall ended up making a project on Ethereum that was NFT-based, or non-fungible tokens. This project would come to be known as CryptoPunks. For those of you that don't know what it is, it's basically like the granddaddy of NFTs of today. And this little project that was started on Ethereum that you're seeing on your screen now has a serious value attached to it. Like the biggest NFT sale of all time, $530 million for these things. So obviously the Ethereum blockchain was a big upgrade for NFTs as a whole. Just made it a lot easier to trade back and forth, have a currency to peg the value to. And it was something that was developed on the blockchain, so Ethereum also kind of liked the fact that NFTs were getting involved. Now, as for me personally, I'm not a big fan of investing in NFTs. I believe in cryptocurrency. I just feel like there's a bit of a bubble. That's just my personal opinion. That being said, my personal opinion obviously is not the opinion of a lot of people, considering how much money people are paying for NFTs. A lot of the value that NFTs have come from the idea that, you know, an NFT is not replaceable, it's not replicable, it's literally one of a kind. Basically, the entire NFT market is based upon the idea that you buy an NFT now, the rarity and scarcity of that object continues to, you know, gain this like mythical quality to it, so someone is willing to pay more than you just did for that NFT. And the value that some of these NFTs starting to have is absolutely nuts. We talked about 1.4 million, we talked about 530 million. Obviously, those are nuts numbers, but it's not like those are the only 2 pieces of art from the NFT world selling for massive amounts. This piece of art that you see on screen right now was created by a man named Mike Winkleman, who is a NFT artist you might have heard of from before called Beeple. And this NFT that is on your screen right now actually ended up selling for $69 million in March of 2021, which is, you know, a pretty hefty chunk of change, just a couple bills in your pocket. And what's wild about this NFT to me is usually a lot of NFTs that sell for massive dollar amounts kind of have this run-up period where they're getting traded a lot, you know, they're skyrocketing in value, so there's a lot of speculation involved. This $69 million NFT, though, actually only started with the bid beginning at $100. And what's nuts about that is somehow the bidding ran up from $100 to $69 million for this, you know, non-fungible digital token. And what this really showcases is just how unpredictable the entire space can be. I'm not hating Beeple, good for him. If I could sell my digital art for $69 million, trust me, I would. And that being said, we're talking about a situation where something went from $100 to $69 million in the span of just one auction. That type of volatility, you know, if you got in early is absolutely fantastic. Don't get it twisted. People are printing money in this NFT world, but getting involved in this on the idea that you're going to buy an NFT for $100 that is eventually going to be worth 69 million, I wouldn't necessarily say that that's extremely likely. You know, I think a lot of people in this NFT space are just kind of having this idea that like, oh, I'm just going to buy some stupid piece of art now and in 8 years it's going to be worth 37 million. And maybe it will. For a couple lucky people, that's definitely going to happen. But I've got a feeling that for every Beeple piece that sells for 69 million, there's a guy out there that minted an NFT for like $17,000 that's never going to see that money again. And that's what's so crazy about this space. You know, I feel like a lot of the success that comes from the NFT world is based more upon your connections, knowing good artists, knowing what projects are about to get massive promotion, and less about like picking a very pretty piece of art. But this leads me to the title of the video, the picture you saw earlier, how an NFT ended up selling for $93 million. You know, a little bit more than 69 million, even though that's way more meme. So this NFT that you see on your screen right now is simply known as the Merge. And the person who created this is an artist by the name of Pac. And Pac has been on the NFT wave for quite a long time. You know, as far as it can be considered for somebody to be an NFT veteran, he's definitely on the list. In fact, the guy responsible for selling the $90 million NFT you just saw also is the person that was the first artist to ever make $1 million in the NFT marketplace, period. As for this specific piece, The Merge, it was released on a NFT marketplace called Nifty Gateway. And on this platform, the bid just ended up going absolutely bonkers. One thing that The Merge did different than a bunch of other NFTs is it didn't actually end up being purchased in the Ethereum NFT marketplace. Instead, they ended up paying for it in mass tokens that will be combined to create NFT collectibles following all the sales. But regardless, you know, homie did end up cashing out about $90 million for the span of one NFT. Good for him cashing in. I'm never going to hate anyone for that. The one concern that I do have for the future market of NFTs is obviously just how long can these values continue to rise like they are. I'm not saying that they're not going to have some place in the future. You know, all these companies hopping on the metaverse and talking about NFTs is a sign that they're not going to go the way of a dinosaur or anything, but just, you know, as it currently stands, do I personally feel as if a lot of this art being sold for hundreds of millions of dollars is worth hundreds of millions? In my personal opinion, not advice at all, I don't think so. It's an interesting concept. I think it's a very cool idea. But unless there's a lot more mainstream adoption to NFTs, I just don't see how these values that they're currently at are sustainable. That being said, I am going to end this with a little bit more of an optimistic spin when it comes to mainstream adoption, just so you NFT fans have something good to walk away with. So as I was just saying, I think mainstream adoption, big companies getting involved is a big step in the right direction for the NFT world, and that's starting to happen. The NBA, one of the biggest sporting leagues in the world, and especially in America, has been releasing NFT packs that are available for purchase, so obviously that's a big step in adoption. GameStop is apparently going to be creating an NFT marketplace, and considering how much people loved that meme stock, it performed incredibly well considering everything when that news was announced, so people are taking it positively. But I think as more and more companies continue to see value in this marketplace and the metaverse continues to come, I could see more mainstream adoption. Personally, this is not financial advice or anything. If you're interested in NFTs, I might wait for this bubble to go and pop a little bit, but that's just my opinion. I'm not an expert at making NFTs. I'm not out here making $90 million selling my artwork, so clearly I'm missing something. That being said, guys, I just felt like making... Alright, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am, and today we're going to be talking about aliens, because the Pentagon and the Department of Defense have announced that they're going to be focusing resources to try to figure out the source of all these UFOs that have been zipping and zooming around that they've released information about. So I figured we could talk about it just because I don't know, the topic of aliens and UFOs I personally find fascinating, so without further ado, let's go. U.S. officials say Pentagon committed to understanding UFO origins. Alright, so last year they announced that UFOs are a thing. They played the video of that tic-tac thing flying around at insane speeds. But now they're committing to trying to understand the origins. And I'm glad that they're doing this, because I'll be honest, I would be really upset if they had all the footage of these UFOs, all these unidentified flying objects doing things that are at least impossible in our current understanding of physics, and went, nah, we don't really want to know where this is coming from. Obviously, I hope it's just like a bunch of experimental aircraft from the Air Force or something, but on the off chance it is aliens, I would like the Pentagon to figure that out sooner rather than later. There's one thing I know from alien invasion movies, it's that if you let them get amongst us, we're screwed. I don't want to be in a Men in Black type universe where, like, the guy cooking my food is secretly a cockroach alien. Two senior U.S. defense intelligence officials said on Tuesday the Pentagon is committed to determining the origins of what it calls unidentified aerial phenomena, commonly termed UFOs, but acknowledged many remain beyond the government's ability to explain. The two officials, Ronald Murphy and Scott Bray, appeared before a House of Representatives Intelligence Subcommittee for the first public U.S. congressional hearing on the subject in half a century. It came 11 months after a government report documented more than 140 cases of unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs, that U.S. military pilots had observed since 2004. If it is aliens coming to hang out and just vibe in their UFOs, they're going for a joyride or whatever, do you think that they're just, like, messing with us, you know? Oh, yo, dude, guess what? We're on Earth. Wouldn't it be so funny if we went and flew over an aircraft carrier and made them freak out? Yeah, dude, they would really lose their minds. Next thing you know, like, they're flying over aircraft carriers to be seen on purpose. Obviously, they're gonna want to figure out where all these identified flying objects are coming from. I don't feel like the United States is very comfortable with not having space superiority compared to anything else. We get upset if there's like a jet somewhere we don't want it to be. If there's just alien spacecraft breaking the laws of physics, I've got a feeling we're gonna want to figure that out. I will say, I know they've probably been working on this behind the scenes for a while. They've probably been investigating UFOs even though they haven't talked about it publicly for 50 years. So the only thing that makes me kind of nervous is like, well, why are they coming out and talking about it now? Did something happen? Are they planning on telling us about the aliens? Bray, deputy director of Naval Intelligence, said the number of UAPs officially cataloged by a newly formed Pentagon task force has grown to 400 cases. Both officials chose their words carefully in describing the task force work, including the question of possible extraterrestrial origins, which Bray said defense and intelligence analysts had not ruled out. He did say we have no material and detected no emanations within the UAP task force that would suggest it is anything non-terrestrial in origin. Oh yeah, this guy's definitely super government. That was the best answer, non-answer of all time. The congressperson, is this thing from another planet? Well, we're not gonna say that it's not from another planet, but we've found nothing so far to suggest it's from another planet. Well, what does that mean, dude? You have no evidence to say it's on and not from here, right? Like, nothing is saying, oh, this is from Mars, but at the same time, you can't confirm it's not from Mars. So what, is it from Venus or something? Like, that was just such a government way to answer that question. Answer it without actually answering. That's a lawyer textbook classic. The 2021 report, a 9-page preliminary assessment by the Office of the Director of the National Intelligence and a Navy-led task force, said 80% of UAP instances it reviewed were recorded on multiple instruments, and both officials pledged that the Pentagon would follow the evidence wherever it leads, and made clear that the primary interest is addressing the possible national security threats. Yeah, anything that makes our Air Force go, huh, we don't know what that is, but it's doing things insanely fast. I definitely want to know what it is, because I know the United States is far and away the biggest and most advanced Air Force. So if someone else has magically developed technology that makes ours looks like the Stone Age, we need to figure out where that's coming from, you know? Obviously, if it is aliens, then like that would really suck, because we're out of control on that one. But if we do end up finding out that like England has low-key manufactured UFOs and has just been testing them for the last 20 years, that'd make me feel a little bit better. At least it's an ally. I don't know how I'd feel if Vladimir Putin secretly had a bunch of UFOs. He probably would have used them in Ukraine by now, so at least we can sleep at night knowing that the Russians do not have alien technology. We know that our service members have encountered unidentified aerial phenomena, and because the UAP poses potential flight safety and general security risks, we are committed to a focused effort to determine their origins, said Moultrie, who oversees the latest Pentagon-based UAP investigation team as the U.S. Defense Undersecretary for Intelligence and Security. All right, this isn't really necessarily have anything to do with aliens, but goodness gracious. Can we please get a better system for like ranks and whatnot within these departments? This is the deputy, under deputy, deputy, not deputy. All right, so he's like the 5th in command of the Department in Defense of Intelligence or what? Like, can you just break it down in a way that makes a little bit more sense? I feel like secretly we probably do know where these come from, or at least something about where the possibility of them coming from is. I think obviously when you're doing one of these like public information meetings where you're going to be talking to the public, the government is not going to come out and say everything that they actually know. If anyone is listening to this transcript and is like, well, I bet you that's all the information they have, you're silly. If they knew aliens existed, if they knew that, you know, a UFO was coming in from Argentina, they probably wouldn't tell us anyways. That's the one thing that kind of sucks about this program, is even though they've confirmed UFOs, whatever they find out, we're not gonna know. Our grandkids might get to find out. Some UAP observations remain unexplained due to the paucity of data, Bray said, but added there are a small handful of cases in which we have more data that our analysis simply hasn't been able to fully put together a picture of what happened. While analysts must consider the possibility that an advanced aircraft might use signature management technology to conceal its flight capabilities, they were not aware of any adversary that is capable of flying an aircraft without any discernible means of propulsion, Bray said. Well, that's also a little bit terrifying. All of our labs that we have for security in the United States, the classic $600 billion a year, we got a lot of people researching a lot of things, very, very smart people, smarter than me. If they have data from a lot of these UFOs, but even with the data, it still makes no sense, then what are these things, bro? Just like giant floating tubes of metal? How could something fly without propulsion? It's obviously no technology that we've ever heard of. I mean, like, just literally levitating there? What? Is this some Marvel movie? The core of adamantium. Throw some vibranium around like a nuclear fission core or something? What type of technology can just be floating vibing without anything propelling it through the sky? Not that I would know, but the fact that even our government doesn't know is kind of freaky, because they're the most smart dudes in the room usually. We want to know what's out there as much as you want to know what's out there, Moultrie said, acknowledging that he grew up as a science fiction enthusiast. The Navy task force involved in last year's report was replaced in November by a Pentagon unit named the Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization Group. Last year's report said UAP sightings probably lack a single explanation, with more data and analysis needed to determine whether they represent some exotic aerial system developed by a secret U.S. government or commercial entity, or by a foreign power such as China or Russia. Atmospheric conditions, airborne clutter, and pilot misinterpretation could also be factors, it said. Bro, our government is so big that the National Department of Security is like, well, it also could be a secret government airplane that we don't know about. If the Department of Security doesn't know about all the airplanes, then like, what are they actually securing, bro? I guess they don't have to know about everything, but it would be weird if the Department of Defense, the Department of Security, and the Navy did not know what this thing was. None of them have any clue. Is like the Black Ops Delta unit developing some new UFO technology to be able to fly super sneaky beaky like? Goodness gracious, dude, we really are the biggest government on the planet when it comes to this stuff. Yeah, we can't rule out the fact that it could be some super secret new next generation technology that some department's keeping secret from another department. The Air Force is like, listen, we got UFOs, but if we tell them we got UFOs, they're gonna give them to the Navy too, and we don't want that. We want to be the only dudes with the UFOs. The subcommittee's top Republican, Rick Crawford, said he was on board with examining the topic, but was more interested in subjects such as a better understanding of Chinese and Russian hypersonic weapon development. The 2021 report in Tuesday's hearing marked a turnaround for the U.S. government after decades spent deflecting, debunking, and discrediting observations of UFOs and flying saucers dating back to the 40s. There had been no open congressional hearing on the subject since the Air Force terminated an inconclusive UFO program codenamed Project Blue Book in 1969. It is pretty funny that the government really tried so hard to make us all believe that UFOs just didn't exist and anyone who said they had ever seen one was crazy. Like, if you look back at the way they would smear people that said they had seen UFOs and whatnot, it was definitely coming across like the government didn't believe in this at all and none of it existed. And for like 50 years, they kept up that whole, no, UFOs don't exist, you didn't see anything, okay? We don't know what you're talking about. Only now to be like, oh yeah, they definitely do exist and we've seen a bunch of them. I'm not saying people getting abducted are full of the truth. I'm not really too sure. That's definitely a little bit more up in the air. That being said, people have definitely seen UFOs that are legitimate and got told they were crazy for a while. It's just nuts that the government for 50 years was like, no, these UFO things don't exist, just to turn it on a dime. Yeah, they do exist, and we have an entire program trying to figure out where they're coming from. Ha ha ha. If you're some crazy dude who's been like seeing UFOs and everyone said that you were nuts and they didn't exist, and then this news comes out, you probably feel so vindicated. There's some guy with a tinfoil hat on somewhere. And just wait till they confirm the Illuminati. Either way, this stuff is really interesting to me. I don't know what it is. I really have no clue. Hopefully, it's some secret development of our government. But I think in 30 years, when they declassify all the findings of this little group, it'll be interesting to read through. I just felt like sharing it with you guys because I found it fun. Anyways, that's gonna do it for the video, though. If you enjoyed, I would really appreciate you taking a second to press the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. And of course, subscribe if you're new and turn on those notifications. I'm trying to go on the double daily upload grind. This is actually a week of double uploads that I'm hitting right now. So there'll be another video later today. But like I said, subscribe, turn on notifications, all that good stuff. And on that note, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. And I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.